Hello, splendiferous, wonderful, gorgeous people. How are you? Well, I'm back after a little break and I'm looking forward to getting back into the good work. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So I've just come back from my ayahuasca retreat this weekend. I've got a video of some interviews that I've done, which I'll release later on. So yeah, I'm feeling very centered, very spaced out actually. And if I'm going to tell the truth, not so much centered, more like decentered. I feel I'm sitting here and I feel like I might be there, out of body a little bit, but it settles down after a while. It was just a very strong experience, which I'll talk about in that video. So I want to talk about what's happening in the world at the moment, and I don't need to be the bearer of the news. It's not news to anybody that there's a lot going on around Iran and Israel and the US and Trump and nuclear warnings and worries and all kinds of things like that. The more that it goes on, the more that I just get the sense that I haven't got a clue what's going on. I haven't got a clue, and it stinks. It just stinks of, we've seen this shit before, haven't we? I even heard the expression, weapons of mass destruction being used. And we know what happened the last time that we heard that. And we heard that the world leaders using weapons of mass destruction. And so we know what happened. I mean, it's just like, there's nothing new. They're not writing anything new. It's the same shit. It's the same shit, same story. What's interesting and what's beautiful to watch is that people aren't buying it. People aren't buying it. Not like before. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's where people are now. Very much so. And not just people who were awake, just people in general. Like saying, hang on a minute, what, you're going to try and sell us that story again? There are all kinds of theories. Now, I watched a Mark Atwood video just the other day where he was saying, do you really think that that's what Trump's doing? Maybe it's a game within a game, and maybe it's 4D chess, and who the fuck knows? That's what I would say. I don't know. However, what I thought I would do is ask the emissaries what they thought about the potential for that kind of war, a one that's using nuclear arms. And I know that there's a lot of theories about those kind of bombs. And there's a very strong argument that they don't exist. They don't exist. There's a very strong argument that radiation isn't poisoning. It isn't poisoning to the body. In fact, I watched a guy who for his entire life did talks on radiation, and he would eat, when he was allowed to, then they stopped him, I think, because he wasn't allowed to carry it around. He would eat plutonium. I think it was plutonium or uranium. One of the EOMs that was beep, 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 beep with the machine, like really high. He would eat it to show people that it wasn't dangerous, okay? So there's this whole world that I don't want to even go to of, is it real? And I said to the emissaries, what do you see in the energy? Do you see a potential for this to escalate into, one of those kind of wars where everyone's just getting, blasted to bits? They said, we don't see that. We don't feel that in the energy. They said, what we feel more is that this is being used as one of the last ditch attempts at making mankind fearful. And what I see more in the headlines, and I think this is all part of a very important psyop. I don't see nuclear war is upon us. I keep seeing this, the threat of nuclear war, the threat of. And that is what the emissaries were saying, that the idea is not to make it happen. Then that's it. When it happens, it's done. It's waiting for it to happen. It's the threat of it happening. And what they were saying was that they're aware of the baddies. The Great Awakening's happening. It's happening hand over fist, to use a scientific word, expression. Hand over fist, it's happening. They can't stop it. So what is the only solution? Well, the only thing that they can do is to make everybody so scared that all of the mojo is taken away, all of the vibration is reduced. And that, remember, fear is right toward the bottom, okay? Toward the bottom. That's what they're doing. The emissary suggested that the whole nuclear threat is a psyop, and that it's been a psyop for a long time. And really, for as long as I've been alive, I think, that's been one of those threats hanging over the world in the event of, and what if it were, and what if a rogue country got one, you know. And so there's all of this kind of like, we've been primed over many, many decades to be shit scared. In fact, there's a song that Billy Joel sings, and it's called Lennengrad, okay? It's about him meeting his Russian relative, cousin, I think. And one of the lines out of it is, under our desks in an air raid drill. Under our desks. And even, and you know, Billy Joel's getting on now, but when he was a kid, they would do air raid drills where the children, in the event of a nuclear blast, or as the Americans would say, a nuclear, rather than nuclear, well, some Americans, not all of them. I was thinking more of the president, the ex-president, George Bush, who would say nuclear rather than nuclear. And they would get under the desk in the classroom. Now, thinking about it coldly, if a bomb goes off in your school, right, on top of your school, and not just a normal one, but one of the big ones, yeah, hiding under a wooden desk would do little to nothing. It would do nothing. It would be, I mean, it would just be a waste of the last few seconds of your life, wouldn't it? It would be a shame, you know. What were you doing? You're up in heaven. So what were you doing just before you popped off? You know? Well, actually, I was clambering under a desk. Right, I wasn't thinking about the loved ones. I wasn't, you know, seeing my life flash before me. No, I was clambering under a wooden desk up in heaven. They say, well, that was a bit of a shame, wasn't it, for your last few moments? A bit of a waste of time. I know. I was just doing what I was told. And so that's where they've wanted to get us. The threat, the sword of Damocles. You know, that's what the punishment was. It's hanging over your neck, swinging and coming down slowly, but it hasn't cut you yet. Once it starts cutting you, you're gone. That's it, you're done. It's the potential. And that's why, you know, I've mentioned it before in hypnosis, you don't say, do this. You say, in a moment, but not yet. That anticipation is what has the person's absolute attention and their unconscious mind's attention. In a moment, but not yet. So that's what we're seeing. This, in a moment, but not yet. There's a potential for this to happen. In a moment, but not yet. This could happen. And that's what we get all of the time now. I saw a video today of somebody who was saying, why is it that now the world, everyone in the world seems to be stuck in an episode of Black Mirror? I don't know if you've seen Black Mirror. It's been around for a good few years now. But when you watched it, you used to think, yeah, could be a potential future. We don't want it. It's horrible. But yeah, well. And now Black Mirror is basically all around us. And this is where it's been a transition. It's been since the pandemic. I don't know whether you agree with me. Very quickly, we have gone into a place where everything's abnormal. You know, clown world. Politicians have been shown to be the most corrupt and horrible, stinking, rotten people that we've got. Democracy has been shown to be nothing more than autocracy. It's nothing more. And, you know, it's been shown that it's an absolute waste of time. You know, even when you do vote, it doesn't really work because they do things with the machines. And so we're kind of in this place where we're seeing the world gone mad. Now, Some people might call it the last days. Some people might call it Armageddon. Some people might call it whatever you want to call it, the collapse of society. And it is. But as the emissaries have always said, it's got to fall so that something new can be rebuilt. It's got to collapse. We can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. It's a broken system. Politics and the whole, well, not just politics, the whole system is broken. It's broken, and it needs not to be revamped because it's a broken system. It needs to be changed, cleaned out, starting afresh. Does that mean everything's bad in that system? No. There are tons of good things. However, the structure, the way that it's run, is broken. And so we need something else. But the baddies don't want to let it go. They want it to continue in perpetuity. They want it to just be, because it feeds them. I was talking to a guy on the ayahuasca retreat yesterday. We were talking about stuff, and I was saying, it's very clear now when we look at the world that the two things that the devil can give. I was talking about that. He was looking at me going, whoa, this guy's he's had too much ayahuasca, I think. Power and riches is what the devil gives. It's what the devil offers. It's the only thing that he has. It's the only tools that he has in this world. Power and riches. And we're seeing what's happening to people who accept that, who sign the contract, who say, yeah, I'm going to do that. And so in the meantime, what the heck do we do? Well, the most important thing is to understand that the threats of this horrible future, they're aimed at us. They want us to drop our vibe, to lose our mojo. And that's not what we're fucking going to do. No way. Because we haven't worked this hard to then let them take it all away from us. We haven't struggled and had arguments and lost half of our fucking family through suggesting that it was a pandemic, things like that, for nothing. No, fuck them. No, we are going to maintain the faith, keep ourselves strong, separate ourselves. And I tell you what, I'm having a hiatus. A hiatus? Is that what they say? Perhaps a break from all of that shit. I'm not interested. Honestly, every time I look, I just think, well, that's getting worse. That's getting more mad. It's getting ridiculous. Not only that, now the Trump camp is all divided now. Some people think that he's turned himself over to the baddies, and some people think that it's one of his psyops. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? I'm tired of making excuses or trying to find reasons. As the emissary said, don't try and make sense of the nonsensical. And that's what it is at the moment, nonsensical. And I think that's what overloaded me just before a few weeks ago. It was like, none of this is making sense anymore. It just doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to. It's just the plan rolling out. And we have to do our thing. And given that we've just had the solstice and a very, very important planet alignment, I don't know what the planet was, moving into Cancer, which is the start of new things. And it's going to be a start for new things for us. It's time to start our projects. It's time to do our thing. And fuck the rest, because they're off their fucking rockers. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.